On May 1st, 1776, in a small room in Ingolstadt, Bavaria, a frustrated professor named Adam Weishaupt made a decision that would echo through history. Unable to afford the Freemasons and finding them intellectually lacking, he founded his own secret society. He called it the Order of Perfectibilists, but soon changed the name to something more dramatic, the Illuminati. What started as a club for Enlightenment thinkers would become the most famous conspiracy theory in the world. But here's the twist. The real Illuminati only existed for 9 years. The professor and his followers wanted to infiltrate governments and remove religious control from politics. They used code names. Weishaupt went by Spartacus, and they spied on each other to ensure absolute loyalty. Their downfall came in 1785 when one of their couriers either got struck by lightning or simply died on the road. Police found a list of members and secret plans literally sewn into the lining of his clothes. The Bavarian ruler immediately banned all secret societies under penalty of death, and the Illuminati collapsed. So, how did they become the boogeyman of every conspiracy theory? After the French Revolution, French aristocrats needed someone to blame for losing their heads. They pointed to the Illuminati, claiming the secret society had orchestrated the entire revolution from the shadows. The myth was born, and it never died. But while the Illuminati faded into legend, other secret societies were just getting started. In 1832 at Yale University, a young man named William Huntington Russell returned from Germany inspired by the occult societies he'd encountered there. He founded Skull and Bones, and unlike the Illuminati, this one never went away. The society meets in a windowless sandstone building on campus called The Tomb. They also own a private island in the St. Lawrence River called Deer Island. Every year, they accept exactly 15 new members. But these aren't just any students. The initiation ritual is designed to create a bond that lasts a lifetime. Rumor has it that initiates are placed naked in a coffin and forced to recount their entire sexual history to the group. This creates mutual blackmail, ensuring lifelong loyalty. And it works. Skull and Bones has produced 3 U.S. presidents, Supreme Court justices, and heads of the CIA. The society's dark history includes a particularly gruesome theft. In 1918, a group of Bonesmen, allegedly including Prescott Bush, the father of President George H. Bush, stole the skull of Apache warrior Geronimo from his grave. The Apache tribe sued Yale in 2009 for its return, but Skull and Bones denied having it. With only 15 members chosen each year, how does such a small group wield so much power? That's the genius of it. They're not trying to recruit everyone. They're creating an elite pipeline directly into the highest levels of American power. If Skull and Bones operates in the shadows of academia, the Bohemian Club operates in plain sight, hidden only by California redwoods. Every July, the richest and most powerful men in America gather at a 2,700-acre private campground in Monte Rio, California, for 2 weeks of what they call fellowship. Republicans, oil tycoons, and military contractors converge for what might be the strangest ritual in modern America, the cremation of care. On the first night of the encampment, members dress in red, black, and silver robes. They row a boat across a lake carrying an effigy representing dull care, their worries and stress from the outside world. At the base of a 40-foot concrete owl shrine, they burn the effigy while a recorded voice booms over loudspeakers. For decades, this was dismissed as conspiracy theory nonsense, until the year 2000, when Alex Jones snuck onto the property with a hidden camera and filmed the entire ceremony. The footage proved the ritual was real, though members insist it's just theatrical tradition, nothing more than a very elaborate summer camp for billionaires. But this isn't just about burning puppets and drinking expensive whiskey. Real policy gets made at Bohemian Grove. In September 1942, a meeting at the Grove effectively launched the Manhattan Project, which led to the creation of the atomic bomb. When the world's most powerful men gather in secret without any democratic oversight, can we really call it just a party? While American elites played with fire at Bohemian Grove, something far more dangerous was unfolding in Italy. Propaganda Due, known as P2, was a Masonic lodge that went rogue and nearly destroyed an entire country. Run by Licio Gelli, a fascist who had fought for Mussolini, P2 operated as what investigators would later call a state within a state. In 1981, police raided Gelli's villa and found a list of 962 members. The names on that list read like a who's who of Italian power: the heads of all three Italian secret services, 44 members of parliament, top military generals, media moguls, and even a future prime minister named Silvio Berlusconi. P2 wasn't just influential, it was actively criminal. The lodge is linked to the collapse of the Vatican Bank, the kidnapping and murder of Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro, and the 1980 Bologna train station bombing that killed 85 innocent people. The scandal deepened with the death of Roberto Calvi, known as God's banker because of his connections to the Vatican. In 1982, Calvi was found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge in London, with bricks stuffed in his pockets. Officially ruled a suicide, many believe he was murdered by P2 for knowing too much. This wasn't conspiracy theory. This was a genuine shadow government operating in a Western democracy, proving that sometimes the paranoid fantasies are actually real. But while P2 operated in the shadows, the Bilderberg Group hides in plain sight, while maintaining absolute secrecy about what happens inside their meetings. First convened in 1954 at the Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands, organized by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, the annual conference brings together approximately 150 of the world's most powerful people: kings, queens, prime ministers, CEOs of Google, Shell, and Goldman Sachs, all gather for 3 days of discussions. Here's what makes it suspicious: no minutes are taken, no press is allowed, and no official report is ever published. Attendees are forbidden from discussing what happens inside. Conspiracy theorists have latched onto what they call the kingmaker theory. They point out that obscure politicians often attend Bilderberg right before becoming world leaders. Bill Clinton attended in 1991 and became president in 1992. Tony Blair attended in 1993 and became British Prime Minister in 1997. Emmanuel Macron attended in 2014, years before anyone thought he'd lead France. Are they selecting future leaders? Are they coordinating global economic policy without any democratic oversight? The Bilderberg Group insists they're just talking, but when the most powerful people on Earth meet in secret and refuse to tell anyone what they discussed, can you blame people for being suspicious? The obsession with secret societies isn't new. It goes back centuries to one of history's most famous secret orders, the Knights Templar. Founded in 1119 to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, the Knights were granted special tax-exempt status by the Pope, and they used this advantage to become the world's first multinational corporation. The Templars revolutionized banking. They invented the concept of the check. A pilgrim could deposit gold in a Templar bank in London, receive a piece of paper, travel to Jerusalem, and withdraw the money there. This system made them wealthier than kings, which proved to be their downfall. King Philip IV of France was drowning in debt to the Templars. Rather than pay them back, he decided to destroy them. On Friday the 13th, October 1307, he organized a coordinated dawn raid across France, arresting hundreds of knights. Under torture, they confessed to spitting on the cross and worshipping a severed head called Baphomet. The last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake in 1314. Legend says he cursed both the king and the pope to die within a year, and both of them actually did. The Templars were gone, but their legend lived on, inspiring countless conspiracy theories and secret societies that claim to be their descendants. While European knights were amassing wealth through banking, a group operating from a mountain fortress in Persia was perfecting an entirely different kind of power: fear. The Order of Assassins, known as the Hashashin, operated from the fortress of Alamut in modern-day Iran from 1090 to 1256. Led by Hassan-i Saba, who called himself the Old Man of the Mountain, they didn't have a massive army, so they innovated. They trained sleeper agents, highly skilled operatives who would spend years gaining the trust of a target, whether a vizier or a king. The assassin would work for his target, become trusted, and then strike in public to create maximum terror. Marco Polo popularized a story about how they recruited members. He claimed the leader would drug recruits with hashish, the origin of their name, and let them wake up in a beautiful garden filled with food and women to simulate paradise. After drugging them again, he'd tell them they could only return to this heaven if they died serving the cause. The story's probably exaggerated, but the fear they created was very real. Their reign ended when they met an enemy who wasn't afraid, the Mongols. Genghis Khan's grandson, Hulagu Khan, besieged their castles and systematically destroyed them, along with their library, erasing most of their historical records. If the assassins used fear as a weapon, the Thule Society used mythology to fuel something far worse. Founded in Munich right after World War I in 1918, the Thule Society was obsessed with German mythology and the occult. They believed in a lost super race from the north called the Hyperboreans, who lived in a mythical land called Thule and possessed a mysterious power source called Vril. This sounds like fantasy fiction, but the Thule Society had real-world impact. They bought a local newspaper and sponsored a small political group called the German Workers' Party. A young soldier named Adolf Hitler joined this party. The Thule Society provided the early ideology, the symbol of the swastika, and the initial funding that would mutate into the Nazi Party. Not every secret society is just rich people in robes. Some of them reshape history in the most horrific ways possible. But not all secret societies are sinister. Some are just confusing. On January 4th, 2012, someone posted an image to the website 4chan with simple white text. "Hello, we are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test." Hidden in the image code was a cipher that led to a URL, which unraveled into a global scavenger hunt involving Mayan numerology, cyberpunk literature, and physical clues in the form of QR codes taped to telephone poles in Poland, Spain, Hawaii, Australia, and Korea. This was Cicada 3301, and only a handful of people ever solved the puzzle. A leaked email revealed that the group claimed to be an international think tank advocating for privacy and digital freedom. Were they recruiting for the NSA? Were they cryptography enthusiasts? Were they just rich trolls with too much time? Cicada 3301 went silent in 2014, and nobody knows who they were or what they wanted. They remain one of the internet's greatest unsolved mysteries. Speaking of mysteries that might not even be real, the Rosicrucians are possibly the greatest example of a secret society that willed itself into existence. In the early 1600s, two anonymous books appeared in Germany, written by a mysterious Christian Rosenkreuz. They claimed there was a secret brotherhood of alchemists who had learned the secrets of the universe in the Middle East and were living invisibly among European society. This caused hysteria across Europe called the Rosicrucian Enlightenment. Intellectuals and scientists, including Descartes and Isaac Newton, became obsessed with finding these mysterious adepts. Here's the thing. Most historians believe the original books were a hoax, possibly satire written by a Lutheran theologian named Johann Valentin Andreas. But the idea was so compelling that people formed actual Rosicrucian lodges, effectively creating the secret society out of thin air. Sometimes the legend becomes more powerful than the truth. Not every secret society operates on a global scale. Some are born from desperation and local injustice. In the 1870s, Pennsylvania coal miners and Irish miners formed a secret society called the Maguires. They weren't trying to rule the world, they were fighting for basic labor rights against brutal mine owners who treated them like disposable equipment. Because unions were illegal, they operated underground, literally and figuratively. They sent coffin notices to mine bosses threatening death if conditions didn't improve. They derailed trains, sabotaged mines, and assassinated supervisors who were particularly cruel. The mine owners hired the Pinkerton Detective Agency to destroy them. A detective named James McParland infiltrated the Mollies for 2 years, gathering evidence. His testimony led to the hanging of 20 men in 1877, effectively destroying the organization. The Maguires weren't occultists or power brokers. They were working men pushed to extremes, showing that secret societies can emerge anywhere people feel powerless.
And then there are the Freemasons, the granddaddy of all secret societies and the source of more conspiracy theories than perhaps any other organization in history. They started as medieval guilds for actual stonemasons who needed secret signs and passwords to prove they were master craftsmen, worthy of higher wages when traveling to different job sites. As cathedral building declined, they began accepting honorary members, usually aristocrats and intellectuals, transforming into what's called speculative masonry. The Freemasons might have remained a harmless fraternal organization if not for the Morgan affair. In 1826, a man named William Morgan threatened to publish a book revealing Masonic secrets. He was kidnapped by Masons and disappeared forever, presumed murdered. This triggered a massive anti-Masonic political movement in the United States that nearly destroyed the fraternity. The conspiracy theories only got worse thanks to a French writer named Leo Taxil, who in the 1890s published fake confessions claiming Masons worship Lucifer. Years later, Taxil admitted it was all an elaborate joke designed to troll the Catholic Church, but the damage was done. People still believe Freemasons are devil worshippers today, proving that once a conspiracy theory takes root, truth doesn't matter anymore. Secret societies have existed throughout human history because humans crave belonging, power, and mystery. Some were created to protect knowledge, others to accumulate wealth, and some to change the world, for better or worse. The Illuminati lasted only 9 years, but their name became immortal. Skull and Bones quietly shapes American power. The Bohemian Club burns effigies under a giant owl while making policy. P2 nearly toppled a government. The Templars invented modern banking before being burned at the stake. The Assassins perfected political murder. The Thule Society helped birth the Nazi Party. Cicada 3301 might still be recruiting in the digital shadows. And the Freemasons just wanted to build cathedrals before becoming the ultimate conspiracy theory. The truth about secret societies is simpler and stranger than most conspiracies suggest. They're not all powerful, they're not immortal, they're groups of people who believe they're special, who want to change the world or simply feel important by keeping secrets. Some succeed spectacularly, most fail and fade into history. But as long as power concentrates and humans desire mystery, secret societies will continue to form, continue to scheme, and continue to fuel our darkest and most fascinating suspicions about who really runs the world.